Welcome everybody. It's your boy MarkN MUFCFAN, and you know what it is. Smash the likes and subscribe, guys, because we are live. Let's get ready to rumble, guys. This weekend, this weekend. Hmm. What a Premier League roundup we're going to have. It's going to be an interesting one. Hopefully, the boys will be joining me. Of course, we're going to talk about lots of things that's happening. But of course, you know the drama, guys. It's a mad one this weekend. And of course, you're going to be waiting for what your boy has to say. And you know, your boy Mark Ken is going to come and bring the passion for you and bring the vibes and all you know. You know what I mean? Direct and live in the building, ready to break down the Premier League game weekend, as you know how we do. Of course, with some banter. So let me tell you now, fellas, this weekend it had more drama than a Trini family group chat in this Premier League. But first up, yeah, the Scousers, the Liverpools, they win again. 5 out of 5. What we gonna say, boy? A 2-1 win in the derby over Everton. And they're moving like the invincible week. But yeah, don't study that dog. You know how Liverpoolers do it now. They're like a hot bake fresh out the oven. But wait until December, they're gonna be colder than a bear in ice. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. They can take me for a fool, but they might understand when they see what happened in Christmas time. And Arsenal. I don't care about Arsenal fans. The Arsenal, they're always talking. You right? One set of chats they have. They pull off a 1-1 draw with City. Yeah, Martinelli scored in 93rd minute, like he just remember in the game. They're moving like they win the UCL. I telling all you get. They're celebrating like it had no end, but the trophy cabinet empty, collecting dust. Like a old pan in the panyard. I can't understand them Arsenal fans, boy. They just talk too much. One set of vibes, one set of talk. They didn't win no trophies, they didn't win nothing, so they can start off good. But what we gonna say? At least it was better than Newcastle versus Bournemouth as a nil-nil yarn. Yawn whole game, but I was sleeping on myself. I wanted to do a watch along. I hate along, but I see last time I do one against Arsenal and Arsenal and I fall asleep, guys. That wasn't good at all. So that match was so bowling. Yeah, man. It's like a lame plate of pale. If you're telling all trust me, for they know what I'm talking about, or they go understand the scene. Or they go really and truly stay by. Nah, but can't take that no more. But you know what time it is? We keeping it red. And it's keeping it red devil because it's Manchester United still running through the veins always and usually, you know what I mean? How we just talk. It's always about Man United and we, put Chelsea to the sword. They come home to Manchester in Old Trafford. Once it's a big talk with the Chelsea fans. The Chelsea fan base, they're always talking. And they come to United and in the first 5 minutes, red card. Bacchanal start. Yeah, I mean, United go end up going up 2-0, but we gonna talk about that in a little bit. Let me run through the fixture list. Let me try to keep some kind of order here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pull up the results so I could understand what we're working with here. Weekend, guys. You understand what's going on. So you can see it here on the screen. I'm gonna make it big for you so you can see it real good. You know what I mean? So these are the results, guys. These are the results of the game, and according to everybody, I would say, from my perspective, it was a good weekend. You know what I mean? Every time Man United win is a good weekend for me. All the other teams had their decent performances as well. We examine these performances of these teams because I feel like it had some good performances. We already talk about the Liverpools. We will start off and give them the full respect. That a 2-1 win against Everton. As a man was saying, maybe the Evertonians, the big brothers now, they have slapped Liverpool a little bit and should have moved boss in the thing, but they had no hope, boy. They had no hope at all. They went down to 2 goals, and what I mean, in the second half, they tried to look good. They come back, they had a little bit of fight in them. Jack Grealish come out. He was like, he now wake up in the second half. He started to show some performances. He gave them a good run for the money. He had some key, key persistent progressions of the ball where he created lots of chances, and then finally, they got that goal and they started to take the game to Liverpool. But in the end, they were unsuccessful, and Liverpool moves on with another win, guys. You know what I mean? Defensively, I would say they're a little bit suspect because, although they have all that firepower up top, they conceding goals. And Everton totally def- showed everyone in the Premier League that Liverpool can be got at. Well, and guys, we'll keep it moving because we is not Liverpool fans. You know what I mean? Bundy Scousers every day. Wolves disappointing. But I'm telling everybody about this Leeds team. And Leeds is a rival of Man United, but I just, I had to say, I've been watching all these certain things going on with Leeds. My boy, Just Joe, Just Football Joe, huge Leeds fan. He's always watch his channel and things sometimes, people. So, what I mean? He's talk about Leeds. And then one interesting time I watching the channel, I get to find out that, the Red Bull group had their eye on Leeds, and they have some kind of super partnership going on. And with that, guys, it's getting really interesting. Shout out to NN in the building. Hey, yo, Patsy man. I tell you, you was going lost. Anyway, if you have time, pop in our 10 in our 15 minutes now. Now, you know what I mean? We go talk about Chelsea because I go and get to that Chelsea game at the end. So in like about 10, 15 minutes, jump in, man. I sure you have the link in it. I sure. You know what I mean? I make sure and send it to you. So let me know, right? Let me know what you're saying. We go work on that. We go work on that. Yeah. But interestingly enough, guys, I would say that Leeds certainly deserve that win because their performance, in the last couple of weeks was looking a little bit disjointed. But I keep telling everybody about Samuel Okafor and some of the guys at Leeds is an interesting team. And if they get themselves clicking like what happened on Saturday, yeah, some teams will feel the burn and they might get hurt. You know what I mean? The attacking play was very much clicking this weekend. They're showing a better cohesion, and Wolves struggles defensively and low morale after the loss. Wolves remain at the bottom, showing poor defense, and they deserve to be where they are. Who I playing Tuesday? Just study who I playing Tuesday, bro. You know what I mean? I will be. Don't worry about Brentford. We go do a double preview. I will invite you to my match preview, and you can talk all about Chelsea. You know what I mean? And we will talk about all about if Man United go beat Brentford. We will talk about that. But moving on to West Ham and Crystal Palace now, guys. What I could tell you is this: West Ham probably thought they got the best guy out of Hogwarts. But it was Graham, not Harry Potter, in the building. And right now, it's good looking long for them. Shout out to my brother Drex popping in. When you're ready, oh, just come up to the screen. You know what it is, bro. I had the Palace. I had Palace right now. You know what I mean? So if you want to add your little 2 cents about Wolves and Leeds, jump in when you get the chance. You know what I mean? But so far with the West Ham game, it was an interesting game, and I had to say, Palace, with that victory, guys, they're gaining some momentum. 17 matches across all comps, unbeaten for Palace. Interesting. I never thought we'd be talking about these sorts of things, guys. But Glasner is doing some things, and of course, they have a very interesting midfield. They have I would say, a very potent striker in terms of Mateta. He might seem like that average guy that just been there, but he gets the job done. And with what he have creating behind him, deep line playmaking coming from Adam Wharton is very, very nice to see. You know what I'm saying? And the back three that they're playing is something like Man City, but they look a little bit, I mean, something like Man United, but they look a little bit better than us, to be fair. I have to say and admit and be real, guys. You know how that is go. But honesty is the best case. You know what I mean? So West Ham having a really, really drop start to the season, kind of like some other teams, You know what I mean? Like Wolves, you know what I mean? But it will get interesting for them. We'll see how it goes. You know what I mean? But that's just how it's going right now for them. It's not really the best. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I thought this was a terrible move by the ownership of Newcastle, of Nottingham Forest. Let's be honest, guys. Nottingham Forest was threatening for the league last season. They were showing amazing performances all season. They did a number on my team as well. That number saw Elanga move to Newcastle for a big fee. But what was really disappointing is the fact that this ownership at Nottingham Forest, they sacked that very manager that took that team to that sort of level. and they brought in a manager who finished 16th place. Although he did win the Europa League over Ruben Amorim and Manchester United, he's not the best defensive manager, and I would have to say that it shows. Nottingham Forest defense has been leaky. It has been nothing short of a leaky pipe that's been rusted and used for the last 30 years and needs to be overhauled. You know what I mean? It looks terrible. And I can't say that there's anything to be, if you was a Nottingham fan, to not be upset about because you're winless under Ange Postecoglou so far. You're showing a lot of attacking intent, but again, attacking intent and chance creation, no goals means no goals. So, you can't win games without scoring goals. This is a big problem for the likes of Nottingham Forest and those guys. I have to say it's not looking good. It's not looking great for them. It's very, very difficult right now. And if this continues, they might find themselves 10 games in, possibly in a battle for relegation, along with Wolves. Along with Wolves. No, this is interesting, guys, because, I would say Brighton is a small club. And the reason why I would say Brighton is a small club is because at the end of the day, Brighton, is a selling club. There's not one of the wealthiest clubs in the Premier League. And of course, every season they usually sell their best players. That might not have been the case this season because they didn't want to sell Man United, believe, for £100 million. They met the asking price and they said no. So it is what it is. But, apparently that did not make anything really great for them. They are not at their best this season so far. They've had a few draws and a loss, and they have drawn again after leading the entire game. Spurs came back, showing resilience to get themselves a point in the battle of the birds. And I have to say, the chickens did almost did a number on the seagulls because those chickens, yeah, they were playing to cock the building up, man. What can I say? But what I mean, let's see how it goes. Under Thomas Frank, Spurs has been looking very interesting. A team, they have been defensively secure. They've been going forward pretty well. They've not playing that ridiculous high line. They've been counter-attacking teams really well. And I mean, as much as I'm a Man United fan, I have to say Spurs looking like they're changing and turning a new leaf. And of course, with the absence of Daniel Levy, it looks that club is growing wings. You know what I'm saying? It's not the best thing to see in this current moment. Of course, moving on to Fulham, 3-1 over Brentford. Brentford scoring the early goal. Of course, Fulham having to claw their way back from being down a goal, but they showed a solid resilience in this game to build momentum with the equalizer and continue on to secure the win. And Brentford continues to struggle, in closing out matches and taking their chances when it comes. And of course, they lost one of their best player and their talisman in Brian Mbumo. He's now at Manchester United doing what he was doing at Brentford. Of course, he has a goal on his name and he will have more goals to score. Brian Mbumo is a very productive player and they would be missing him a lot. Of course, Brentford had showed some surprise last week and got a victory. But this week, there was no surprises to be had, and they weren't able to get the victory. They were thumped 3-1 by Fulham. Of course, it gets more interesting. Aston Villa's winless streak continues as they find themselves only settling for a point alongside newcomers Sunderland. And Sunderland are no strangers to the Premier League, but they just came up, and a lot of people are saying that they are playing impressive football. And of course, the Villains, who were challenging for the Premier League last season in top four and are playing, in the Europa League, they are having a difficult time to start this season. They are not at their best. And of course, this continues with a lack of identity and defense and a huge defensive fragility that remains. Sunderland, despite being a man down, definitely showed perseverance. You understand? So, and resilience to hold on for a draw. Villa's season has begun in an underwhelming fashion, guys. I don't know about you or what you guys are thinking, but definitely and certainly Villa, yeah, they have to do better. And while I can say that things are getting interesting for a lot of teams, and a lot of people probably thought Man United would be in one of these positions, but we are not there. And it's the likes of Villa, it's the likes of Wolves, and other teams that are falling drastically down lower than they were last season because a lot of those teams had lightning starts last season. And of course, Man United didn't. So it was compounded in the way things went. And of course, moving on. Now, the drab draw, boring as can be. I'm pretty sure my boy Strasbourg Steve didn't even want to come here tonight to talk about this shit game because what I can say is that it was worse than watching two people try to pull hairs out of their head. This game was the worst. It was like a snooze fest. You know, you normally get a physical Newcastle that's coming to pound and ground you and get a result and bulldoze you into goals and these things. But Bournemouth was a very resilient team, and Andoni Iraola set up his Bournemouth team in a very, very interesting fashion, and they did not sit back against Newcastle. They went at them, which Newcastle did not expect. It was a game that had some end-to-end moments, but there was a lot of drab moments because there's a lot of fouls in the game. And Newcastle's inability to convert chances due to their lack of Isak, probably, you know, and their adaptation, their newly adapting striker. Yeah, it's going to be an issue for them, and especially away this season. Of course, you know, we have seen Walter Made connect and get his first goal of the season, and that's ahead of Benjamin Sesko. But Newcastle still struggle, and Bournemouth being solid defensively, but they lack the firepower and clinicality to finish the job, guys. It's going to get very interesting, guys, because, you know, it's the boring game. Of course, everyone expects this every season. 1-1 Arsenal versus Man City. You can bet money that this is going to be the scoreline. It's almost written in the stars. Every single time these two clubs play, it's going to be a drab 1-1 draw. There's no flair, there's nothing. It's just two teams repeating the same thing over and over for 90 minutes, hoping that one of them each other makes mistakes so that they can take advantage of them. I would say that Arsenal late equalizer after maintaining the pressure on the citizens shows a bit of resilience from Arsenal, but at the same time, well, there is something to debate over whether City's substitutions and defensive tactics in the final minutes allowed Arsenal to get that opportunity to score that goal. I don't know if you guys might agree with my assessment. Shout out to MUFC Rocks in the building. Big up to you, my broski. I hope you are well. What are your thoughts, bro? You know what I mean? It's just interesting for me because I think that definitely the change in tactics from Pep Guardiola certainly allowed Arsenal into the game. They should have lost that game. And in my honest opinion, it's almost as though, you know, they planned to share points. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. And let's see who can hunt down Liverpool. Maybe that's what they were thinking. What can I say? I don't know what I don't know. But hey, let's get on to the big show. I know everyone's here for this. And of course, this is what we are all here for. Man United versus Chelsea. And all my friends, the Chelsea fans, they don't seem to be interested in coming to defend their team. All of them are suddenly unable to come in. You know, they always hear when Man United lose. But when it's time for them, yeah, they not around, guys. When it's time for them, they ain't nowhere to be found. And to be honest, I wish these guys would show up. I wish they would pull up so, you know, we can see what's going on with them. Because really and truly, guys, it's just wild that whenever United wins, they are always there. But when we lose, when we United loses, they're always there. But when we win, they're never to be found. These criminals, yeah, these criminals, guys. And a lot of people tend to pay attention to these criminals. I don't know why, but it's one of those things, guys, where I have to say, yeah, I don't really understand it, but what I can tell you is that it was very interesting, the performance of Manchester United. Now, guys, you heard me say it. I was really upset with Amarim in the previous week, the way he set up the team, the way he allowed the game to slip away without keeping time and making changes that would have probably impact that game that we played before and allow us to get some result from the game. At the same time, right now, I think he made some changes to this game. Whether or not anyone agrees with me, I think, we're gonna see we saw it for what it was. You know what I mean? I think hold on one second, guys. I'm trying to drop the link in the chat to see if NN wants to come in or any Arsenal fan wants to come in. Yeah, the link is there. If you guys want to come in, and represent your team because, of course, you guys talked a lot about smashing Manchester United 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 5-1. It was going to be record-breaking game where Chelsea comes and ends the 10-year, 12-year duck of winning at Old Trafford. 12 years, you haven't won a game at Old Trafford. Ooh, guys, it's getting long for the Chelsea. How big a club are you when you can't even get a win in years? It's like a steel bake, bro. A man just throw in the frying pan. It's hard. You can't even eat it. It could break your teeth. Them thing difficult to chew. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about this game because Grex, if you want, just come right in now, bro. You know what I mean? When you're ready, just come right in. So we could go through the Man United game. Because when I finish that, closing remarks and out. United pick up crucial points despite a chaotic match. And when I say a chaotic match, guys, on the 5th minute, no one could have believed or predicted that Sanchez was going to come out like a madman and try to axe kick a brother down just to get a ball. He could have leave it and then score and try to, they could have tried to come back from 1-0 down with a full team. But when you go out there all wily, like young Charlie, yeah, it's all kind of things could happen. You know what I mean? You're not even thinking, you're not using your head, so you just went out there all wild. Yeah, I must get to the ball. Like, bro, it's 90 minutes left in a game. I mean to say it would have been bad to let United score that goal and let Mbumo get on the score sheet because then it might have been long. But at the same time, it would have been better than getting yourself sent off. And I mean, Chelsea fans could only rule that decision. But if it happened to Man United, they would be saying the same thing. I'm saying, hey, suck it up. You lost. Yeah. Stop crying, bitches. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Man United is a team that's struggling this season. This is our second win of the season in 5 games. We had a draw, 2 wins now, and 2 losses. So, I mean, to say that at the end of the day, what can we do? What can we say? We expect better performances. Of course, we expect much more after spending 300 million plus this summer. Of course, Ruben Amorim still needs a lot of time, and while I might not like what I'm seeing, while I might think that he talks a little bit defeatist for my liking, I mean, in all fairness, I back Ten Hag. I mean, he had to get time. Whether I want to back him 100% or not, maybe he will prove to me over the course of the next 10, 15, maybe 20 games, as long as he's here, that he is the guy. And all that big talk last season meant something. Because to me, actions speak louder than words. And of course, Man United have not been, playing in the way he says that, he knows Manchester United DNA. But at the same time, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and it's a new system and a new manager, a new team. And of course, we are improving. We are showing good performances. We are leading the league in shots and chances because of how direct our attack has been. Now we only have to follow that up with some actual clinicality, guys. And I think that will be coming. Now, c- concurrently, these are the controversial moments in the game. The red card for Robert Sanchez, of course, was the referee decision too harsh and game changing. that is something interesting we could talk about. What do you guys think about that? Because for me, I'm not too sure if it was. I think it was a fair decision. At the end of the day, if you do the crime, you had to pay the time. And I think if you run out there like a wild man playing karate, well, bro, yeah, you could only have yourself to blame for being stupid. Nobody else can be blamed for that, of course. And not to mention Maresca. What was he doing? I could understand Cole Palmer substitution because he was injured, but then I can't even understand why he started because then that's a rookie mistake. I know Cole Palmer is like the be all and end all of Chelsea, but I mean, you could have tried the game without him. Then you wouldn't have waste a whole substitution on the 15th minute. Also, you wouldn't have it was like a bit difficult because then you took off your young superstar in Esteval Willian. He also was sacrificed. Maybe he's not good enough to play with 10 men just yet. I'm not too sure what Maresca is thinking. But he took him off, and I was like, all the Chelsea fans talking about this guy, and he was the first sacrifice made so that they could have bring on Tosin Aridabayo. And I was like, okay. Then he went on to take Neto off. I was like, what? Okay. Hey, this is the decisions of that manager. Of course, as a United fan, I don't give a flying. You know what I mean? I don't care. But as a football fan, I'm like, yo, that's not the best decision I would make. I wouldn't make that decision. But at the end of the day, who am I? I'm not a certified coach just yet, so I can't really say. But what I can tell you guys is even before those moments, United was already asserting their dominance in this game. We might not have had the most possession because we had 41%, but we had the most shots and the most shots on target. We had as much shots on target as Chelsea had shots for the entire game, six. But we all in total we had something like 14 shots. It's interesting because Man United are creating more and more chances. Now, so how it goes, I think the performance was pretty much a decent performance. It was strong up until Casemiro's red card. We could argue that Casemiro got the ball first and the player really made a meal out of the challenge. But at the end of the day, as I experienced defensive midfielder, Champions League, four-time Champions League winner, champion Carlos Casemiro, you have to be a bit more responsible in them moments. Of course, we could have allowed Chelsea to run that attack, and if they scored, they scored. But we would have had 11 men for the rest of the 90 minutes. We would have scored more. You know what I'm saying, Casemiro? So maybe next time, allow it. You know what I mean? You had a good game. I would say that Delit had the best game of all the players on the pitch. For me, he would be my man of the match. I don't know who you guys gave the man of the match, but him and Bruno, they definitely saved the day for Ruben Amorim. They came up big, and no one came up bigger than Delit. He was everywhere. He was the first to all the threats, and he was there to put balls into the box as well, making a lot of opportunities for some of the players in the team. He was monumental in that game on Saturday. I think we are certainly not only Delit, but Mazarari also in contention. Not only did he body Cucurella, and when I say body Cucurella, guys, I have to show you this. Do I have the clip here? Do I have the clip of him bodying Cucurella? Oh man, I gotta have that clip here. Guys, give me 2 seconds. Let me see if I can upload this clip of him bodying Cucurella because yo, it was wild. It was wild when he bodied Cucurella, guys. Oh man, yo, guys, oh man, I can't even upload it. We'll show. I'll upload it to the channel right after, guys. But he certainly bodied Cucurella, guys, and then bodying Cucurella. Guys, it's a wild one. When we talk about it, it was such a interesting performance from Mazraoui. He started off the season injured. This is his second full game back. and he was one of the best players in the team defensively and going forward. He put a lot of crosses into the box as well, even more than Ahmad. Shockingly so. That was wild. You would never expect that. But at the same time, it is what it is. The performances are growing. You know what I mean? Shout out to Pep when needed that way. When Pep when needed, play that way. 100%. Yeah, I could agree with that statement. At the same time, guys, what I can tell you is that, going forward, hopefully Man United build on this performance. The league is not in a guaranteed situation. There are teams that are winning games, but they are not winning games, all of their games in the most amazing fashions to say that they are worlds ahead of Manchester United. Of course, we did get dropped three last week from Manchester City, but I mean, I think we were more or less, overwhelmed, playing the game, the pressure, the manager, a little bit of poor decision making in certain situations, and the game ran away from them, from Manchester United. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and hopefully we build on this win because this is very important to build on this. We'll see some continuity in the same players coming starting next weekend when we play against Brentford. Of course, you guys know we will be having another international break coming up from the 5th of October. There'll be lot. So this weekend is the last game for the next 2 weeks, and it's going to be very interesting because if we were to win this next game, guys, we are definitely going to put ourselves in a situation where we could be in the top six, and then we would have to maintain that with performances going forward. And if we could get ourselves there and have that 2 week break, I think it puts us in the driver's seat to make a momentous, statement in December by starting to win more than just our first run of 2 games in a row. And if we could start doing that and put a little bit of a run together going through December, guys, we could see ourselves climbing the table in a very interesting fashion. Now, we don't have Champions League, so we won't have to be worrying about who we are playing on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or maybe even on Friday, like the likes of Chelsea. But we do have one game a week, which means there's not that much time available for all the players in the team to be, at the peak of match fitness. We will also need the internationals to get some of our players fit who are not playing regular minutes. But at the same time, it does put us in a precarious situation where we should be having one of the most energetic teams every start of the week. Every game week, we should have the most energized team on the pitch each and every time. And this is because we have one game a week, like teams on the bottom of the table. And we're a top six team. So we should, it immediately, even if we finished 15th last season, having these circumstances and the players that we brought in, it should at least take us to a top six, a top eight, top six fight this season where we, can relatively say that's somewhere we could end up. But if luck is on our side, maybe we can do even better. But let me know in the comments, guys. Of course, these are just my thoughts. Interesting to hear what yours are. Hopefully, you will tell me about them in the chat. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe. Your boy is on the road to 2K. Join the community, grow with us, help us get there. Let's march all the way to 10K at the end of for Christmas. You know how it goes, guys. Like and subscribe. Your boy MarkN bringing you the latest and updates. And of course, the Premier Roundup is live every Monday night, 9:30 UK. For an hour, we will talk about the Premier League. And if you guys want to call in, the link is always in the chat. So you guys could call in as well. Maybe not this time, but hopefully the next time it will be a pleasure and interesting time to talk to each and any one of you who decides to call in. Have a great night. It's been your boy MarkN. Of course, you will see more of me, of course, but we will also have more interactions because on Thursday night we do have the after extra time stream where we will be talking about all the happenings in Europe this week, of course. And tonight, not only that there are lots of happenings, but there's the Ballon d'Or ceremony happening tonight, of course. Manchester's very own creation, Scott McTominay, reaching on the list at number 17th. There's some other interesting names, nominees there, but I would certainly say I look forward to seeing Dembele winning it. Possibly one of the only player that I think won enough this season and performed in a most critical role for his team at the same time. We'll see how it goes and what decisions they make. I haven't seen it. I'm here with you guys, but whatever decisions they make, hopefully it's about football and not about popularity. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful night. Catch you later. It's your boy MarkN. Peace out, guys. You know what it is.